Welcome to the McKnight Center, and thank you for joining us on Center Stage. During this series, we invite you to learn alongside us as we take a closer look at the performing arts, guest artists, and so much more. We encourage you to keep on learning and to create your own fun at home. Joining us today, we have Kennedy Conrad. She is an OSU vocal performance major and current cast member of the upcoming opera Die Fledermaus. Also joining us via Zoom is OSU alumnus Grant Harper. He is rejoining the opera cast as a guest performer. As we take a closer look behind the scenes of this year's opera production, we'll also talk about important performer preparation. But first, let's take a look as OSU Opera takes center stage with an excerpt from Die Fledermaus. I am here with OSU alumnus Grant Harper. He will be joining the upcoming opera production Die Fledermaus as a guest artist. So we're so grateful that he's here, and Grant, just again, a big thank you for taking time out of your day to join us.
Absolutely, and thank you very much for having me.
Looking at this year's opera production, without throwing any major spoilers into the mix, can you give us, and even those interested in going to see this year's production, a little bit of a preview of what Die Fledermaus actually is, and even more so what your role is inside that production?
A kind of short synopsis, if you want only a few words about Die Fledermaus, is a classic misdirection, and it's all about people who say they are, people who they're not really.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of what that's, I know that there's a better way to turn that, but
I mean, would you call it almost a comedy of errors?
Yes, that's actually a beautiful way to put it. So it's set up very early by a meeting of two characters who one of them knew he was going to meet the other, and the other says, "Oh my God, what are you doing here? This is the wrong time for you to be here." So it kind of is hit off at the very start with this kind of bang of, "Oh, what do I do with you?" kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And it continues to kind of roll down the hill. A lot of characters have a grand plan, and a lot of characters have absolutely no idea. So from an audience perspective, it's really fun to witness kind of how things unfold. You can kind of see in Act 1 where things are going to go, but you don't really have a total idea until the very end how we're going to all meet and figure out how does everybody plan to this. So yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful way into opera if you've never experienced opera at its full form.
So when you have been in an opera presented in a foreign language, what additional preparation do you go through? And I don't want to make a presumption, but safe to say you are probably not a master of German, Italian, French, but you have the skills to present that language. So what extra preparation do you do?
So I've been asked this question so many times, and I had to think about this answer a lot. When someone chooses to be an opera, you kind of have to be okay with the fact that you need to now be not fluent, but proficient in 4 languages: English, German, French, Italian. So you have to. And others come in and out, Spanish, Russian, things like that. The way that I always answer this question is, I don't have to be fluent in the other 3 that I'm not fluent in, but I must be able to trick someone who is fluent into thinking that I am. So there are little bits of each language that are characteristic to that language. And someone who is fluent, if you hear someone who isn't fluent speaking, per se, Italian, and they put an emphasis on a wrong syllable, or there's a vowel that should be a little bit longer, the native speaker goes, wait a second, you're not from here, are you?
Tell us a little bit about how you feel coming back and getting a chance to perform at the McKnight Center, but also what impact do you feel that this facility being on campus will have on our current music students as well as our future music students?
So I have always been looking forward to the McKnight Center, and when it was finally announced that they had the money and they were going to go forward with this project, I was like, yes, even though I knew that I wasn't, as a student, going to be able to enjoy it and, be there for the first concert and be there for the first time that somebody rehearses in a practice room or anything like that. I knew that it meant a lot for Oklahoma State. For the students there, I think it represents the opportunity to bring in performers that they would never have gotten the opportunity to be around that building not been there. It also gives the university a beautiful place to say, bring us whatever you have. We want to hold competitions. We want to hold concerts. We want to hold everything. And we have the facility to do so. And we are willing to share it with you. We want to share it with you. Like I said, even though I never got to enjoy it as a student, I now get to enjoy what comes from it as an alumnus, and being able to see the multitude of videos and pictures and people getting to enjoy both the McKnight Center Performance Hall and the Recital Hall and now the Greenwood School of Music. It's just so exciting. It really it brings a great smile to my face every time.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for your time, Grant.
By all means, thank you very much.
I'm here with Kennedy Conrad, a cast member of the upcoming OSU Opera production. Thank you for joining me, Kennedy.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So I just want to go ahead and jump into things, and I want you to tell me a little bit more about your role as not only a Greenwood School of Music student, but your role in the current opera production.
Sure. So I am currently a senior vocal performance major, and I'm also a first-year graduate. So I'm in the 4+1 program, so I will graduate this May with my bachelor's and next spring with my master's. And so this is my 3rd year in OSU Opera, and this year I have the pleasure of playing Prince Orlovsky in Die Feldermaus.
Well, what I want to know a little bit more about is the timeline of an opera. So take us through, beginning to end, some little snippet, important timeline markers of an opera production, but more importantly, you as a cast member. How do you work to prepare for such a role?
Sure. So since this is a college performance, it is a little bit different timeline-wise to a professional production. So this is technically a class. So we have regular meet times during the week and even evening rehearsals. We have tests and exams, and to make sure that we are learning our music on time. But the OSU Opera, we actually do a mainly music theater performance in the fall, and then our main stage production in February each year. So we don't start learning our opera until October or November of the fall semester. So that gives us about 4 months of first getting the music to getting on stage. And then an entire month is just spent at home during Christmas break. So this year we did music rehearsals from November to Thanksgiving break, and then we basically memorized the dialogue on our own and came back the third week of January and started blocking.
Are there any other modifications that the opera production in general maybe we'll see during the performance, or what you're doing during rehearsals to just maintain safety? Any unique modifications?
Definitely. So you'll see in the blocking, we try not to draw too much attention to it because we're still telling a story, but everyone will be at least 6 feet, if not more, distance on stage whenever we're talking to each other. When we're singing, it will have to be even more. At least 12 is what most studies will say when singing, just because that air does travel a lot farther. We also will sing out into the audience and not at each other, since we will be without a mask.
Oh, wow.
And one of my favorite changes is our COVID-friendly kisses, that you will have to see how we work around those.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay. So, well, thank you again for taking time to chat with me more about opera and the upcoming opera production of Die Fledermaus. But before we say goodbye, just what would you want to say to anybody who maybe is tentative to go to an opera, and then anything specific about your time or OSU opera in general?
Sure. So I know that opera as a genre has definitely been a thing of the past, but really it's just what's been around the longest. It's not necessarily means that it's not still relevant to today. We do have music theater, which obviously was a stepping stone from opera, what opera brought us. But I think it's a great way to still be entertained, especially with everything going on in life right now. You can come out safely and just be taken to a different world, and especially since it's a comedy, like who doesn't want to laugh right now? So I definitely believe that it will be entertaining to whoever attends.
Awesome. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you on stage February 19th and 20th. Thank you, Kennedy.
Thank you.
And a special thanks to each of you, our viewers, patrons, and advocates. Keep an eye out for our next installment, and until then, keep creating at home.